The Britannia Challenge Cup, race 1, day 3. London Rowing Club on the Berkshire station, underway against the Australians on the Buck station there. And just having a watch on this very first race, it'll be fascinating to see the conditions and how these athletes cope. They've obviously had a practice run or two now.
And just the beauty of going off at this part of the day is the water, and just see how calm it is. There's no energy yet because there's no craft out there. It's really quiet. Sometimes that can be a plus of the athletes because it's quiet, and sometimes, you know, they like that energy from the kind of crowd. So you can see that Mercantile have jumped out here straight away off the blocks.
They've got a length lead really early, Mercantile, in this one, nearest the camera on the Buck station. And it's so still, the water. And you can see in the stroke seat there, Harry Cathcart enjoying his work early in the day. He'll be done by 8:40 this morning.
And that can be a plus as well. If you're done early or race early, then you've got the whole day to recover. But then it's again sitting around thinking about the next one, isn't it?
Let's have a look at London Rowing Club this morning. Rose Lewis in the cock seat. Ben Satma, you can see there in the stroke seat. Sunglasses definitely the order of the day today, because there's a bit of glare and the light bounces off the water's like a mirror, isn't it? So you definitely need your sunglasses.
Yeah, you definitely. I used to love wearing sunglasses because I don't know what it was. It seemed to me to help me kind of move away from the pain that I was going through in a race. I don't know. I could, like, you know, just step out into something else by having sunglasses on. It was really strange, but it was a way of me just kind of, you know, finding some peace with the pain I was about to go through.
It slightly removes you from the issue, doesn't it?
Very much so.
It's like watching it on the telly rather than actually being there, experiencing the pain yourself. So, Mercantile, the Australians, that's their blade work. Very neat and tidy.
They're actually moving really well, and you've got to remember this London crew had a really tough race on Tuesday where they were down all the way up the course, and then they came through and won by foot. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, how leggy they are, because that is a lot to do early in the rounds. Normally you want to kind of just build as you go through the regatta rather than having a real kind of, I call it a gut buster early on.
And London, who had an Upper Thames clash, and that's how it, London moved with really good composure, didn't let them move away, and they rode through them at a mile mark to hold on and win by a foot. London Rowing Club on Tuesday, so Mark says it's perhaps now the time that they'll feel that. And that's good progress from the Australians. Good evening to everybody who's tuned in early evening. Australian fans, friends and family of this boat, no doubt, tuned in and cheering them on. I think they'll be into the next rounds, potentially the weekend. That's the incentive for these boats now, isn't it? The weekend not too far away. If you can survive in that, I mean, I know once you get to Saturday, you know, everyone's just thinking about trying to get into Sunday, but it's a significant moment to get yourself into the weekend's action. So you'll have your boat in the tent at the weekend. Yeah,
there is something special about being in there, and it becomes, you know, as boats get knocked out, they leave the tent. Yeah, it becomes this special, I don't want to say club because that's not the right word, but you know, it is that experience where it goes from being really, really busy to kind of being really, really empty, and it goes kind of quiet in there.
And this Mercantile boat will definitely have ambitions to do exactly that. Very controlled today, haven't they? That's exactly where they want to be, I'm sure. What a shot that is. Look how beautiful the water looks this morning.
Yeah, it's idyllic out there this morning, and they're just inching away. They haven't done anything dramatic. They just went off the start and just kept moving away. The London crew are still trying to stay in there, so it'd be interesting whether that big move that they did on Tuesday to come for Upper Thames, they still have something in the tank. But that Mercantile crew does look, I like to use the word, kind of classy.
Whether they can repeat it, London Rowing Club, it's unlikely you'd have thought that they can surge through again. Darts that they produced on Tuesday.
Especially in a Cox boat, it's such a, you know, the Cox 4 is such a heavy boat to kind of lift up in speed. It's like you call it like a diesel engine. Once it just stays at the same, but to change pace is really difficult.
shifting along well at the moment. The Australia boat, in that boat, Jake Polkinghorne. In the bow seat, Oliver Salzo, and you've got Harry Ahmed and Harry Cathcart, I mentioned, in the stroke seat. For all of them, it's a first visit to Henley Royal Regatta, all in their early 20s. This is Mercantile, that you can see in the lead by 2 lengths now on the buck station.
And that's the beauty of that being in the Cox 4, isn't it? That the Cox is doing all the steering for you, so you can really just focus on your rhythm, following the person in front, and going through those kind of processes and those markers and ticking them off as you kind of move up the course.
The light is fabulous today. If I was a painter, I'd be getting my easel out right now.
Do you do any artwork?
No.
I'm definitely not myself. Actually, one of my close friends, Nick Quirk, does paintings of the regatta, and he might be around today doing some paintings. You never know, never know.
Well, I think it's now, because looking at the weather forecast tomorrow, your easel's going to be blown over and soggy tomorrow. So in the sunshine, the Australians making the most of the weather conditions, the nice still water. Mercantile there. You can see the Cox Isabel Finch geeing up the boat, just trying to keep a grip on this. I think Isabel Finch should be fairly satisfied with the situation here, but looks quite animated.
Well, it's just as a Cox in the front, like, you can't actually see if you're that far in front, you can't see where the other crew is. So it's really hard to gauge whether, you know, to keep the crew moving, or do we need to come down a little bit, or do we need to really keep on top of things? So it is quite challenging being in that seat, because she can't kind of see round.
But Rose Lewis, the Cox here, can see, because Mercantile being the lead boat, she'll know exactly how extensive the gap is. And in front of stewards, I'm afraid for London Rowing Club, the gap is going to be too great, and Mercantile, the Australians, are going to see it home here. That was a really classy performance. I think you used that word earlier in the race, and they haven't put a full stroke in there all the way down the course. Mercantile in complete control, so good news for the Australians through in the Britannia Challenge Cup. That's a second round victory for them, and they'll be very satisfied with that. A long day for them to contemplate that, but when they watch it back on the telly later, their performance, I think they'll be very pleased.